So one of the Maasim, one of the times that they had a very interesting story, where Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, his chavruta was Antoninus. Antoninus was Caesar, but at the same token, he was Ish Emet. As a king, he would always have somebody with him, so he had two guards. So one guard, he would kill right on the spot, so there's no witnesses. And the second guard, as soon as he arrived at Rebbe's place, he'd kill him also. Because he knew that if these guards knew what he's actually doing, he's learning Torah with the Jews, he would tell the people, they would kill him. So the deen to allow him to kill this guard was rodif, meaning that if he comes to kill you, you're allowed to kill him first. So he wasn't a murderer, he was protecting his own life. He was just obligated as a king to have these guards. So nonetheless, one time, he arrived at the study hall with Rabbi Kadosh, and he sees Rabbi, one of his students, is there. He says, for the Rav, with all due respect, I told you, the studying is just between you and me, not your students. I can't have witnesses. He says, don't worry. He says, he's like an angel. He says, if he's an angel, tell him to go tell my guard, bring my guard inside. The guard's dead. But he doesn't tell him that. So he sends, go bring the guard, go bring the guard. He goes to bring the guard. Now, there's a saying in the Torah, in the Gemara, the Chachamim says, only a fool brings bad news. So now, the Talmid of Rabbi sees a dead guard. He says, maybe he didn't know he was dead. Maybe he knew, maybe he didn't know. I'm gonna give bad news to the king of the Goyim. Only a fool does such a thing. What does he do? He brings him back to life. Why? Because he was Kadosh. He brings him back to life, they go inside. Now Antoninus knew he killed him. He says, Rabbi, you're right. Your students, they're not like people. They're not like people. Why? Because they're named in the Gemara. They're not like people. They can revive the dead. But please, next time, don't bring him anyway. Now, why do I say this? Rabbi was in a generation after Rabbi Akiva. He was a student of the student of Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Akiva was a student of Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkinos. And it keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up all the way to Moshe Rabbeinu. The amazing thing is that just when you talk about Rebbe, in order for you to be a student of his, to be mentioned in the Gemara by name, you have to revive the dead. Meaning that even the Rambam, who's Kodesh Kodashim, was not even able to be a student of Rebbe Kadosh. But when it's compared to us, like I said before, we're as far from the Rambam as we are from the moon, as well as we are from the sun. It's beyond us. And the way that we see it is that there was one guy, one intellectual, a Nobel Prize winner, one time said, what's the big deal about this Rambam? What's the big deal? He wrote some laws, you guys are studying how he wrote it? Just study what he wrote. No. We don't study that way. The Rambam has such wisdom, we study how he wrote it. What letters he used, kivyachol, as if it's like how God wrote the Torah. It's not just what he wrote, but how he wrote it. What's the big deal? It says, listen, he wrote not only the law, but he wrote it in the least amount of words. The most amount of information with the least amount of words. Le'avdil, but Einstein said if you don't know something, to explain something in a simple way, then you don't know well enough. Meaning you have to be able to explain it to a child. Most amount of information with the least amount of words. He says, pick any law that the Rambam said, that we have in our Torah, write it in the least amount of words. The guy studies this law, simple law, whatever it was. After a few months, he comes back, okay, I wrote this law in 21 words. The rabbi said, lower it a little bit. Okay, a few more months, 17 words. Lower it a little bit. What do you mean? It's less than 17? He lowers it to 13 words. 13 words. And then it gets to a point where he's convinced that at 13 words, we're finished. They look at the Rambam, we're at 7 words. And not only that, at the 7 words, it's actually more clear and more educating than the 13. That's how far we are. So when we understand that how holy and smart and wise and far from us the sages were, we have to think twice before we say, I don't agree with the Rambam. I don't agree with Rebbe. I don't agree with the Gemara. Because in reality, you're only saying it because you don't understand who you're dealing with.